Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Is it possible? This is episode 26. Diana Bejasa, is that true?
Yeah.
Well, she's been joining us for many months now, and amazing to have her here. Very thorough, very creative, very helpful. Today, we are talking about pushing through, which as moms, we all have to, but more so about burnout, repeat, and why discipline culture kind of seems to be failing us ambitious women. Well, Diana, our burn through catalyst speaker, our coach, our author, joins us again here live today on the show, and we're excited to have you back. How's everything going?
Oh, um, I am guilty of doing a little bit of push through today. Um, I'm not feeling 100%, but we continue on.
Ditto, exactly. Me and my bad gouty knee, and you and your little cold. We're gonna get through. We're gonna push through, because that's what we do as ambitious women, right? So, before we get started on today's topic, just tell us a little bit of your background and how you're helping people all over the world with what you do.
Yeah, I work as a life coach. I'm a speaker. I also do some energy healing. And through my work, I'm really passionate about helping high performing leaders who want to avoid working themselves into the ground while they're overcoming whatever life's biggest challenges are for them. And how I believe in doing that is by really looking at how can we disrupt some of the outdated personal development myths that we've been sold and really prove that high achievement is not just about working the hardest, it's about working smarter. And I believe that real success is not about just burning out, it's about fueling our fire and doing it strategically.
Well, thank you for being here, for helping so many. And, your work as a coach and guiding people and, how do I say it? Helping people be better selves, right? In every aspect of life. And, it's not easy, especially when, as a woman, a single mom and who also is working so hard. All we do is seem to push, burn out, burn through, and push. I'm just saying this, and I will say it, and you can hate me for it, but most men don't do this. Most, not all, most. They just, if they're sick, they lay down. Oh, if they're sick, I got this. Very hard to find a man that does push through as much as we do. So I'm going to give us ladies more credit, and you guys can like that or not, but it's so true. And that's what we keep on doing, right? So you say discipline is really like a tool, not a personality trait.
Yeah. So, I don't know about you, Jill, but like for a long time in life, I identified as disciplined, right? And I was that kind of person. I'm showing up, I'm following through, I'm told a million times that I'm so reliable, and it's almost like you get resentful about being so reliable because it's like, why can't you be reliable, right? And being reliable, being the person who always shows up for other people. At a point I noticed I was just like tired. I was exhausted, like deep in my bones, like kind of tired, where like even a nap wasn't going to solve anything, right? Um, and it also felt at the same time like I really just couldn't stop because no matter what, no matter how much I did, it would never be enough.
Do you feel like that today? Is that the same situation?
No, I would say that today I feel much more like I know how to use discipline as a tool. And that's what I want to talk about today, right? Because discipline isn't the problem. Discipline is an important tool. The problem is when we use discipline too much. So I kind of liken it to like when somebody learns how to use a hammer, for example, like my little daughter, she's playing with hammers, right? Like so everything, and then we like see everything and we're like, oh, this needs a hammer, this needs a hammer, right? And like instead of really understanding, like there are places where you use the hammer, there are places where you don't want to use a hammer
Not
and
on
you want
mommy's head or
a
hands, but
screwdriver.
yes, you gotta
Yeah,
teach them.
exactly, right? Like like it's a tool. It works just like discipline works. But when it becomes our default strategy for everything, that's when problems arise, right? That's when we stop getting results and that's when we start burning out. So, um, yeah, discipline, like I was saying, it's useful. We love discipline, right? It's an important thing for us for us to learn, for us to teach children, but at the same time, it's not something that we use forever, right? It's for building habits, it's for breaking old cycles, but it's not a lifestyle. It's not meant to be an identity. And it's definitely not a replacement for self-awareness. Um, and like in the personal development world, a lot of times we see um, discipline kind of used as the answer for everything. Like just get more disciplined, right? Like you didn't hit your goals, discipline, right? You didn't stick to your plan, you need more discipline. You didn't wake up at 5 in the morning, do your journaling and your meditation and drink your matcha before the sun came up. Like, oh, that's a discipline problem, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's not the truth, right? Like if we look at discipline like a hammer, then we can see that like we're treating everything in life maybe like it's a nail, right? And we end up smashing things when actually what's needed is a softer touch. And so I want to also preface this by saying this message is not for everybody. So if you're a person who struggles to get up off the couch, if you're a lazy person, like you were saying, you're a person where like rest comes more easily to you,
Hmm.
probably you need more discipline. You need to
Yeah.
learn how to use the tool
Hmm.
more. The problem is when we already know how to use a tool well, and we need to learn how to use a tool with discernment. So this is more for the women who are showing up even when they're dead tired, right? Women who are following the plan even when their body's begging them to rest, right? Women who are preparing lunches and picking up the kids and doing whatever it takes even when they themselves are crumbling inside, right? It's for those of us who don't quit, even when quitting could be the healthiest thing to do. And so that's where we want to really look at and realize like, am I using discipline more like a hammer and just hitting everything when there are certain things that could use a certain touch? Like that's where we want to really place a little bit more of discernment to think about like, is discipline needed in this case, or is it something, do we need a little bit more compassion? Do we need some rest? Do we need and the thing I want to say about that too is just like a tool, it's not like, oh, if I'm not supposed to use discipline, what am I supposed to use? Do I always use do I always take rest? Like, no, you don't. Sometimes you need a little self-compassion. Sometimes you need a little rest. Sometimes you need something else, and that's okay. But it's about understanding, like, oh, I have a problem. Let me look at my toolbox
Yeah.
and figure out which one is appropriate for right now. And so for what we're doing right now, like yes, it makes sense for us to pull out our discipline tool and to show up even if we're a little bit uncomfortable. But if the problem gets worse and we're noticing that applying discipline in this instance isn't working for us, then we got to look at okay, let me look back into my toolkit. Let me look and see what else I can use and what else I can do. And I believe that's what's really going to take us to a next level application of discipline.
Ah, wow. And I know it's, we're also expected, to still be our best, do our best, be mom, be worker, be all that we're supposed to be. And you mentioned that's really not considered this, resilience. It's kind of self-abandonment, right? So, explain a little bit of that aspect because here we are. You're working hard. You're not feeling well. You're still doing your job. You're here on your show. I'm here still working, didn't go for work with my gouty knee. I mean, like we still kind of do that. Should we be doing this or should we have taken the day off? Both of us. Are we performing our best? I feel like I'm performing well. Like, yes, but I don't know. You you answer that.
Yeah. So it is a nuance, right? It's something where we got to check. Like, so if we're both showing up today, but at the same time, if we're not feeling better, we got to then look at like, okay, maybe it doesn't make sense to use our resilience tool here. Does that make
Yep.
sense? So
Mm-hmm.
there are times where you do push through. It can be the very first tool that you reach for. I think that's totally okay. The nuance here is for us to stop and look and say, okay, is this tool actually working or is hitting this with a hammer not producing the results that I want? Right? So we have to like we don't just want to keep smashing with a hammer thinking that smashing harder is going to help us get the screwdriver in, for
Mm.
example, right? We need this we are not the screwdriver, get the screw in. See, this is
All right, yeah.
I'm you
You're
knew what I
burnt.
meant.
You need to sleep. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. So we need something that is gonna actually like get the screw in properly, right? We need the screwdriver. So if we're gonna keep hitting it with a hammer, like we're not gonna get the results that we want, right? We're gonna end
Mm.
up breaking stuff. It's not gonna work the way that we really want it to. So it's okay to maybe pull out the hammer and use that if it's our default tool, but we want to also look and see, if this isn't working, or if we're breaking things, or if we're not feeling better, then yeah, it's next week it's time for us to take a break on for the show, right? And that's what for me is really like that nuance, because the gold stars that we've been collecting our whole life is the showing up no matter what, right? We could be sick, we could be grieving, we could be emotionally falling apart, and we still show up, we smile, we get the job done, we power through, and people praise us for that. They call it strength, they call it resilience. And that's part of the problem, is that we get validation from ignoring ourselves.
Yeah. Ah, why? Ah. Okay. Okay. We're not going to ignore ourselves anymore, right? We are going to give back. We're not going to abandon. We are going to be present. Okay. But um, I hope. But this is a very confusing topic, to be honest with you, because like I'm on the fence. You're right. It's like discipline, ambitious. But if we were talking about a guy, though, I just feel like this whole conversation's different.
It is. It's not the same, right? Like the
Hmm.
expectations are not the same. Um, and I think it's why we want to look at, um, instead of always framing discipline and using it as resilience, we want to look and see, is this self-abandonment in a power suit? Because when we're pushing through and our nervous system is screaming to us to please stop, that's not strength.
Yeah.
That's conditioning. That is like dissociation. And at some point we have to stop and ask ourselves, like, who are we performing this for?
Hmm.
Who are we who are we wanting to be resilient for? Like who why? Does this is this worth it, right? Like when I was working as a chef, and I was opening multiple restaurants at the same time, and I
I
noticed I
remember.
was I was getting sick, right? So I had one thing, right? I pushed through, right? I think I first developed the low back pain. I don't even remember the order anymore, but I developed the low back pain. I pushed through. I developed like the issues in my wrist. I pushed through. I noticed I was having trouble walking. I got the shoes so that I could keep going. Do you know what I mean? So that my feet wouldn't hurt anymore, and I could keep walking even though my feet were literally telling me to stop. And so sometimes it takes us a couple things before we realize, like, wait, this hammer isn't working.
Yeah.
um and there's a degree to which we can build our career on that, but when we build our career that way, it can't be sustainable.
Ah, so true.
And I think that that's the thing, is like there's a point where we do need to just override and say to ourselves sometimes, like, hey, like I gotta do the thing, right? And that is a skill, and it's important for us to know how to do. But we need to realize and recognize, like, am I just always pushing through? And am I doing it in a way that's ultimately harming me? And that was
Yeah.
what, like when I started losing my hair, that was when, like, that was kind of the wake up call for me, where it was like, wait, like, my body is screaming at me from head to toe that something is wrong. I need to pause here. I need to stop and really think and critique, like, is what I'm doing the right thing? And I hope to find other women before they get to that place of breakdown where they're literally sick from head to toe. But I also want to be a beacon of hope in that, like, even if you get there, like, you can get out of it and you can feel healthy and good again. Um, and through that journey, what I really learned was how to really understand these tools that I developed, right? Because again, like, there's nothing wrong with discipline. It's the hammer, right? Like, it's a tool, but we also need the screwdriver. We also need the wrench. We also need
Got to change out those tips. If you got the
yeah,
one and all that I do, like from IKEA, I change the
yeah,
tips. So it's
exactly. The
a
the hex
Phillips. It's
key.
a
Yeah. Yeah, like a hex key works sometimes and it doesn't work other times, and that's okay. But like, like I even think about it as a chef, right? Like, so a lot of times when somebody's learning how to cook, or like home cooks, or even like more novice cooks, they like learn a technique, or they learn how, like, about a seasoning, for example, and then they put it on everything, right? And then like everything tastes kind of one note and or it's all like the same. And variety is really the spice of life. So we got to look at this opportunity to use the tools that we have and like pick out different ones and realize that like it's not always going to be the same thing that we're going to want, like, or that's going to be most effective. There's something for each situation, and we want to be mindful enough to give ourselves that pause so that we can decide which tool are we going to take. Is it going to be this one? Is it going to be this one? Is it going to be that one? Because when we're really choosing instead of just acting on default, then we're not creating the same problems we've always had. We're actually being more proactive about how it is we're going to get to where we want to go.
And remind us at this time how we can reach out to you, please.
Yeah, so you can find me at my website, www.savorlifewithdiana.com, SAVOR lifewithdiana.com, or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Diana Bejasa Speaks.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And also excited to point out that you do have a journal. What is it called? How do we find it?
Oh yeah. Thank you. You always remember. My Manifest Your Dreams journal. This is a it's just a tool that I've developed with my one-on-one clients to help them to achieve more progress with their dreams, even if they don't have very much time. So it's designed with like a 15-minute system in mind. And how I know that it's effective consistently is because we're using neuroscience. We're using the brain in order to actually help us to achieve our dreams.
All right, thank you so much. And now let's continue the conversation. If you are just tuning in, we are here pushing through as we always do. And we're talking burnout and why discipline culture is failing ambitious women like ourselves. And let's continue. You mentioned if you only trust discipline, you don't trust yourself. Explain that one.
This one might sting a little bit.
All right, go for it. Go, go. I'm
Uh,
ready.
okay, so if the only way you know how to get results is by pushing, that's not control. It's actually fear in disguise. So let me put it another way. So if your calendar is more trusted than your body, if rest makes you feel anxious, right? If the idea of not productive feels like failure, then it's not a discipline thing. Then it's a trust thing. Because what we are really seeing here is that we've trained ourselves to listen to rules, to listen to the routines, to listen to external validation, but we've forgotten in this process how to listen to you. So when I'm working with my clients one-on-one and coaching, all the time we're talking about this idea and this understanding that discipline is entry level. This is an entry level personal development skill. Self-trust is that next level, right? So that's when we know how to push and when to pause, when to structure and when to soften, right? So this is where that like nuance of life, the contrast begins to come in. That's where the mastery really happens. So if you've been asking yourself, like, why can't I stay more consistent? Why can't I get back into routine? Like, why do I always feel like I'm behind even when I'm doing everything? Why? Right. This is why, because you're not actually trusting yourself. What you're doing is you're operating more from a place of fear, believing that if you don't have all of these structures and these things and these routines and all these things that basically run your life for you in place, like you're gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, with kids, right? Like we both know, like routine is important. It's absolutely important, right? And it's another one of those like rudimentary skills, right? Like base level skills. But when you're in a stage of mastery, it's understanding it's not always going to be by routine, right? Like sometimes you're going to travel and it's going to throw off the routine, or sometimes it's going to be a special birthday and that's going to throw off the routine, right? So it's not expecting ourselves to do the same thing every single time and to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's using that skill of a routine to say like, okay, this helps generally set me up for success so that
Mhm.
I can color outside the lines a little bit sometimes, right? I can play around and know that I have this routine to come back to. So, um, this is a point, right? When we know how to use discipline, um, and we're finding that it's no longer working for us, I invite you to consider if maybe you've outgrown discipline as a survival strategy. So maybe it's time to really look and think about, is there space to lead from trust, right? Is there space for you to feel more safe, right? Like again, like safe without the routine, safe without all the structure, safe
Mm-hmm.
without all the rules. And then we can really begin to look at like is this in alignment, right? Like so I was mentioning like with my daughter's schedule, right? Like with kids, routine is really important.
Oh, yeah.
But so is family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to do things still in alignment with like our values ultimately, and we can't let the routine or the box shape our life. The box is a helpful building block. It can be a tool, right? It can be a container, but that's not meant to be our life.
Yeah.
So we have to create a little bit of that fluidity, a little bit of that grace, because that's where like the magic and the music of life starts to happen, right? Like it's that like if you think about a song and you think about like it's sounding all the same, having all the structure, right? Like at some point it gets kind of boring for it to
Yeah.
just be rhythmic. Like it's okay, it could be technically perfect, but it's that sound
Mm-hmm.
that came out of nowhere, right? Or it's that it's like it's that little bit of difference that actually catches your attention and is often the thing that you gravitate towards. So we want to be intentional about putting those things in, right? Like I'm not saying throw the routine out altogether. I'm saying that let's bend the routine when it makes sense with alignment with our values. Let's bend the routine when we notice that like our health is continuing to worsen or that our body is basically telling us like, hello, something is wrong. And really give ourselves this opportunity instead of just feeling caught up in always doing the same thing, really looking at like how do I expand this toolbox? How do I use what I really want?
Yep.
Um, and how do I allow these tools or this structure to help me play within the lines so that I can color outside the lines and it's not like a whole big mess.
Wow. And then we can upgrade to electric tools and make things better, but that's a whole nother conversation. But like, yes, like we got to better our tools. We got to better. Oh, that's a lot. Dana, we still have plenty of time
Yeah.
to chat. What else did you want to add? My goodness.
Oh, well, I love what you're talking about electronic tools and because the way that I look at that when we like I wasn't even thinking about this, but the way I look at electronic tools, that's basically like AI.
Yeah.
So a lot of times in my business, I incorporate and I use a lot of AI. Like so, even in my scheduling and things like that, I use AI to help me like find time in my schedule or like I have a 15-minute like I was finding I would have like a maybe a 15-30 minute break and there I would want to be productive in that time, but just the mental load of thinking about like, well, what am I going to do with this time felt overwhelming. So I'm actually using AI to help me figure out like what can I do during that time, based on all the tool or all the tasks or the things that I want to achieve, and all the due dates and all those sort of things. So I think that um, there's space for us to upgrade to power tools when we understand how to use AI, and it's definitely something that I encourage my clients to learn how to do. And in my programs, I actually incorporate AI. So if you're finding, because I've been coaching for so long, I know where people tend to get stuck. And so I've created these prompts so that people can actually, when they're stuck trying to figure out an answer to something, right? Like a lot of times that's what stops us, right? Especially us women, when we're under so much decision fatigue, we have so many things to think about all the time. Like sometimes it's just hard to think of ideas, and I definitely have felt this even stronger as a single mom. And so what I do is I'm like, okay, like that's not going to stop us. Here's a way that we can prompt AI so we can get some answers. Because sometimes it's like it's not even like you're going to like the answers that AI gives you, but it's at least going to tell you about what you don't like so that you can think,
Hmm.
no, 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 I want something more like this, right? So like it's not going to actually come up with the perfect answers for you. It's going to come up with like mediocre answers, and that's how you're going to figure out like your answer. But you don't have to go through the exercise of like figuring out those mediocre ideas and like feeling, like not liking them. You can get those mediocre ideas from AI and then be like, oh, I actually like this one, or oh, okay, this is the nuance I want to get. Um, So for me, it's really about just working with a smarter strategy, right? Smarter tools, a more diverse toolbox. Because,
Mm,
like I said, discipline's not bad. It's just not the only tool that we need in our toolbox. And if it's the only one that we've been using, right? Like, no wonder everything feels smashed up.
yeah, so true.
So, yeah, for me, it's like you don't necessarily need more pressure or more pushing all the time. What we need more of is like a personalized, nuanced strategy, knowing how to how to unpack the whole toolkit, knowing how to use all that stuff. And that's a lot of what I help my clients do when we're doing coaching is like I help them. I have a very formulaic system for helping them overcome any problem that they're facing. Um, and we do this in a way that's really systematic and like I said, incorporates AI. So if you're interested in learning more about that, if you're wanting some more support with getting more done without feeling overwhelmed, um, you can go to my website, www.savorlifewithdiana.com. There's a link there to schedule a free consultation. You can also find it from my Instagram and Facebook profiles if you click the link. But my profiles there are at Diana Bejasa Speaks. That's DIANABEJASA Speaks. And if you're interested even just in like learning how to manifest your dreams with 15 minutes, you can check out my journal. It's available on Amazon. And you can the easiest way to find it is to search my name. So Diana Bejasa is the easiest way to find it. And all of these are really just tools, right? To expand your toolbox to help you to get to where you want to go without feeling like it takes all this time or without feeling like it needs to take all this energy or mental work. Like, what if it could be easy? That's one of my favorite questions to ask. Like, what if it could be easy?
yeah. Well, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. All right. So now I know you're not feeling well today. We both established that well on before the show, during the show. Tell me, the rest of the day, what do you have planned? Because it's morning for you, by the way. She's in Honolulu, Hawaii, right? So tell me, how are you going to go about your day and continue to be this ambitious woman, but not burn yourself out and still be a mom and a good worker?
I build in a lot of breaks, and I carve out special time for like me and my daughter. So she's gonna come home from her visit with her dad around noon. We have I have an hour and a half break that's like non-negotiable that I'll spend with her. Then I'll get a little bit of work done. Then we have our swimming time like right around 4. So I build in a lot of breaks into my day, um, and I build in a lot of play into my day. So I am, and like I was saying, like the AI scheduling tools I have, they help me to be really focused in the time that I have where I'm
Mm-hmm.
working,
Yeah.
so that during the time that I have carved out for me and my daughter, or for just me myself, I get to be really intentional about that.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, for joining us. And always a pleasure to see your beautiful smiling face. Wishing you the best, smooth sailing, smooth healing. And thank you for always making the time to, be committed to your show like this. God bless you. Thank you so much, Diana.
I'll
Have
see
a,
you soon, Jill.
you
Feel
got it. Have
better.
a great day. You too. Thank you. Bye bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.